Mm, 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 Give it a minute. Give it a minute. I hope everybody follow instructions. Cash App $ KG if you want to hit a lecture. If not, I'll just share it with my members and students in class. I hope we do this right. I'm not going to jump into the lecture. If people here for the lecture, if you want to hit a lecture, if not, I'll stop it and I'll just share with my students in the DAP class. But if you're here to learn, we ask for a suggested donation. Cash App $KG or PayPal.me/IBNALBay7. And if you're not here to learn, I understand. I understand we give money to movies and clubs and things. So if you're here to learn something and you don't want to give a small donation, $5 to $10 or $20, we're gonna block you. So I'm gonna wait for a minute. It's Cash App $KG and I'm gonna be illuminating a book history. I'm gonna share it all. I'm not just gonna talk about things. In academia, if you ever came to one of my lectures, I mean, this is a small sacrifice that we ask. And I illuminate all the books because I read them. I just don't hold it up. This is academia. So we 1 minute in, and I hope we do things right. So I'll give a second. If donations don't come in, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I understand there's other things important to people. So I won't do the lecture, and I will just share with my class in our DAP class. So I hope nobody don't get on here talking stupid, because I'm not here for no games. If you're here for games and a troll, get your grown self off. If you don't want to donate to the lecture, you don't have to be here. It's Cash App $KG. So I'll give it a couple minutes for my muftis can log on, and we'll get started in a second. It's ready, huh? Yep. Peace, peace, peace. Yep. It's Cash App $KG. If nobles don't want to donate, if they're not my members and students, and if they are my members and students, if you don't want to donate $5 or something or $10 to the teachings, that's fine. And like I said, I'll just share with my members and students in a DAP class Saturday. But I try to come back and give lectures that I do on campus where I have students donate way more. And I try to come back and teach these things to our brothers and sisters that say they Moors, that say they looking for light, and they don't even want to give us donation to the teaching. So I'm gonna wait another 5 minutes, or what? I got 2 more minutes. And like I said, if Moors don't want to give a donation to Cash App $KG, once again, that's okay. But don't come here say you're here to learn, and we'll go to movies and things and do all these things that mean nothing, and go to strip clubs and do all that. But we don't want. But we come here and say I don't want to give nothing to the teachings. And when I go other places, school, colleges, churches, I get donations. So I'm gonna give it a second and see if we can be honorable. If not, it's all good. I'll share Saturday with my members. If anybody on Instagram, any of my members, I'll write these names down. Write those names down so we can jump in their inbox and be like, Dan, you here every time you want to give a small donation to learn, but you here every time. We got to start calling people out. Because if it ain't no good, then why a person come every week? And I let people come, they don't even give donations. And today is a scheduled lecture. If don't nobody want to donate, all you got to do is hop off. I'm not going to say nothing. Cash App $KG. So I said, we done got besides ourselves, want to talk shit. And I tell people, no one make you come. We choose to go places. We choose to spend our funds where we want to. So if we here to learn, we here to learn for a reason. And if nobody want to follow the rules, the same way we came, we can leave. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's okay. If people don't want to donate to Cash App $KGB, you don't have to. I ask you to log right off. I have no issue with that. I don't have nothing to say to nobody. We do what we want to do. But remember, a stray dog will eat anywhere. That don't mean they loyal. A stray dog will eat anywhere. So if people get fed and you have funds and you don't even want to get, say, a gratitude for the person that prepared and gathered the food that you're going to eat, we wouldn't even want to give a donation. We would walk off with all our money in our pocket and be like, man, I'm full. That's messed up. That's messed up. So once again, I got 4 more minutes. We got about 6, 7 people on YouTube. We got who is this? Kareem Tarantino on Instagram. Cash App $KGB. Like I said, and if I'm not saying nothing that's interesting to you or educational, why do you show up every time? So I'll wait. This is a gift. I did this lecture on the college campus. It was packed. And I didn't have to ask people to do this. It was already there for me. That's why I say we lost. So I'll wait. Because I'm telling you, if you came to the college campus for one of my lectures, they wouldn't even let you in without a ticket. You have to purchase it right there in the show. That's why I be saying we can't be bump on the logs. If you came to a temple or church, you give a donation for the teachings. So what's wrong with that? And if we got people on here on Instagram and YouTube, all you got to do is be like, "Yep, Sheik, we gave a charitable contribution. I'll get it to the teachings. If not, I'm cool with it. I have no problem. I have no problem. I have no problem. So it's all good with me. I'll keep waiting. And like I said, don't nobody say, hey, yep, Sheik, we donated. I have no problem. We got, 2 more minutes, and then I'll just log off. And I'll say peace to everyone. And my nobles, I'll do this Saturday for y'all. And I'm going to show you how serious our people are. I'll show you exactly how they are. Watch when the lights cut on like roaches. But they'll do all the other stuff. Oh, gratitude, Malik. People just think you can't go to nowhere else, go to no class and learn from no one. You'll go to church and all this stuff and give a donation. We'll go to clubs, make it rain, buy a whole bunch of shoes and clothes, but say we Moors, and when a divine minister speak, we don't want to give a donation. I ask people that all the time. I'm like, why do we expect to learn and how, and we won't even give the teacher a love token for teaching, something that we say we want? And if it's nothing that you want, I always say, you don't have to log on my page. When I'm speaking through the day regular, I'm just speaking. But when I have scheduled lectures that I do on college campuses, that I do in class, now people got to show me it's important. If not, like I say, it's okay. But we got to stop that, man. We just can't be jumping places and think you can't go to the movies without paying. You don't go to the club without paying. None of those things we do. It costs something. But soon as a person lecturing and it's something that people want and we jump on, we don't want to give nothing. Am I wrong for asking? Shit. Yep. And I ain't even gonna jump in it. I ain't even gonna illuminate the book. But a lot of people get things twisted because a lot of people hold books up and they ain't studied nothing. I tell you how you done got lost because people telling you wrong scripture. I know, Malik. It's all good. I'm not even gonna get a lecture. I'm about to log off after I say this. But in the Bible, you got, and Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And beginning of his kingdom was Babel in the land of Shinar. About the Anunnaki, they are the Samaritans, they are the Iberians, the biblical land of Shinar, modern lower Mesopotamia, excuse me, y'all, flourished in the 3rd millennium BC, covering the Tigris, Euphrates, and the river valley, embracing all the Gulf shores, all that, the Akkad, 320 miles, all this stuff. And Sumer appears to be the first major high culture of Western Asia. See? So I'm going to give you a little introduction. And it begot or bequeathed to the successor states a tradition of great achievement. Many contributions to civilization was known. Agriculture, the Sumerians, where they try to talk about some damn Anunnaki, aka the Iberians, built very sophisticated canals and reservoirs to irrigate the fields, possessed both advanced, legal, and perhaps the ancient world's greatest astronomers. So I'm only going to get an introduction. And like I said, if Moors don't donate, I'm not going to do the lecture. Serious, because Moors just pop in and don't and act like we don't want to give to the teachers and show up all the time. So I'm going to give this introduction. If Moors don't show that they donated, I'm okay with it. But don't get on here talking shit to me. Don't get on here with that. Because we go other places and spend our money for the shit we like. That's a fact. And this stuff is well known. The Sumerians called themselves the black-headed people. And they must have been only one of the many Nilotic Kushite colonies established in the early Asia. Biblical reference to Nimrod as a son of Cush, the mighty hunter, has been identified with Osiris of the Nile Valley. Diodorus, when I be showing y'all those 1st century writers, Diodorus Siculus of Sicily, in the section of his work devoted to Cush, reported that the origins was the leader of the Kushite colony that settled in Egypt. The distinguished 19th century British antiquarian and so-called Egyptologist Gerald Massey occurs with Diodorus, adding that in Cam or Cush, the black race of the Ethiopic center was the primo parnage. The name was continued by Cam in Egypt, Cush, Mizraim. In your biblical scripture, Mizraim is Egypt. You got to know this. The ancient rite of Memphis and Mizraim, Hut, and Canaan represent the 4 branches in our 4 different directions. And Nimrod is the typical leader into Sumeri Nimrod, the son of Cush, of the black race. So once again, I'm not even in the teaching yet. I'm just in the introduction. I haven't even got into the synopsis of the book that I'm going to give. And that's why I'm saying, so I'm just waiting patiently to make sure we do what we should do. If not, it's all good. We can learn somewhere else. The Greeks and Romans called the Kushites Ethiopians and were at least somewhat cognizant of their vast dominions. People be saying Ethiopians, Abyssinians, whatever. Early observers such as Ephorus, Ephorus, expressly stated that the Ethiopians occupy all of the southern coast of both Asia and Africa. Homer describe the Ethiopians as divided and dwelling at the ends of the earth towards the setting and rising sun. Sound familiar, don't it? Strabo, y'all know who Strabo is? Another writer, Stabo, adds that Greeks designed the whole southern countries toward the ocean on the coast of both Asia and Africa as Ethiopia. And according to John D. Baldwin, author of Prehistoric Nations and one of the leading exponents of an early diffusion of Ethiopians or Kushite, and I quote, "It is now admitted that a people of Kushite or Ethiopia race, sometimes called Hamites, were the first civilizers and builders throughout Western Asia, and they are traced by the remains of their language, their architecture, and their influence of their civilization on both shores of the Mediterranean, in Eastern Africa and the Nile Valley, in Hindustan, and in the islands of the Indian Seas." Yeah, one of my nobles said everybody should have donated already because my daughter or her in school, she like, I ain't never heard of this. I know. And she got the books. I give all the literature, especially for students. That's why I said this is familiar to college students. I haven't even gotten into the lecture yet. I'm still in the preface or the subtopic. And the difference to lower Mesopotamia itself, pioneer African-American historian Drusilla Dungy Houston quotes Diodorus as commenting that the Kushite Ethiopians were the absolute governing class in politics, that commanded armies and held the offices of state. And then you have all these, no disrespect again, these modern so-called scholars, they try to quote things and discredit the history, but don't want to quote the first century writers, don't want to quote the plethora of Europeans that agree with what I'm saying, They noted Sierra Leone historian George O. Cox mentions that Kush colonized Mesopotamia around 2800 BC. Kushite subjects now settled in Babylonia as overlords of Mesopotamia and introduced there what was the world has since come to know as Babylonian civilization. It should be noted that the migration of which Cox writes was simply a reinforcement by Kushites of early blacks, Grimaldi's, and Austrics, who had entered the region in a Paleolithic and Neolithic times. It was perhaps their earlier migrations coupled with extensive intermingling with non-black types, which gave rise to the Semites and other related groups. A survey of the available Sumerian and Elamitic anthropological data seems strongly supportive of this. In 1926, and again in 28, the Field Museum of Oxford University conducted joint excavations in northern Sumer. That's in your Bible. At the conclusion of their work, they pronounced, yep, it's Cash App $KG Bay. I'm still in the preface. I'm getting ready to stop in a minute. The earliest historical chronia, which is the which we talk about historical facts, are from Jamdith, Nisar, 18 miles northeast of Kush, and those from the stretch of the Kish or Kush. When they talk about the forehead, all these things, what they saw, the broad noses, in some cases including extreme features. Faces has survived. Most of this stuff is in private museums. I'm telling you, scholarship. No one disagrees with what I'm saying, not academia. In additional publications on the excavations at Kush or Kish, T.K. Penniman listed 3 distinctive cranial groups. First, there is Euro-African in ancient times. The type is found in Mesopotamia and Egypt and may be compared with the comb Capel skull. It is possibly identical with men who lived in the high desert west of the Nile in Paleolithic times, and is the type seen in the familiar portrait statue of Ramses II. That's why when I was getting my dual master's degree at Grand Canyon University, right out here in Arizona, in the Grand Canyons, they got all the artifacts. That's why the National Guard, they be having all the military protecting it. I got all the old manuscripts and all the old newspaper articles, all the mounds is there. And then second, there is Mediterranean type, whose variants occur all the way from Java. And I can show you, man, another book, King Java, all this stuff before Columbus, all this stuff that's in the records, all in history books. European nations know exactly what I'm talking about. Through India and Mesopotamia, and on both sides of the Mediterranean, these people are of medium stature with complexion and hair like those of the Euro-African, to which race they are allied, dark eyes and oval faces. They have small, ill-filled, dolichocephalic skulls with brow ridge, poorly developed or absent bulging orbits, usually horizontal, ellipse, broad noses, rather feeble jaws, and slight showy bodies. In ancient times, their description was much the same as today. Thirdly, there is a Armenoid, Armenoid type, whose relatives are found all over Asiatic plateau and mountains from Himalayas through the Persian highlands and Asia Minor. Just like in your Moorish Quran, when they talk about the uniting of Asia. Although both reports, through very terminology, reflect the narrow thinking of their day and ours, the information provided does allow us the opportunity to verify the historical traditions, eyewitness accounts of the black race in ancient Sumer. Sumer is in your Bible. I haven't even gotten a lecture yet. That's why when I be on a college campus, man, I be having to beg to come home because they'll be up there all day. And they come ready for the teachers. And we can find no physical difference between the crania of the Euro-Africans and the Mediterraneans, referred to in the statements, and the crania of the African and Asiatic black of today. All this stuff, the early pre-Dominic of the lower Mesopotamia city, the Sumerians called Cush. And yep, I ain't even in the teaching yet. Yep, my noble said it's Cash App $ KGB. I hope Moors give a donation to the teachings and just don't jump on here because we write all names down. And you can't be mad. You go to the strip club, you do all this shit that don't mean nothing. One of their most ancient may be another bond between the Sumerians, which the European, Zachariah Stitchin, try to say the Anunnaki, some goofy ass aliens. I keep telling y'all, the Sumerians is the Iberians. You got to understand this. And the Nile Valley, the Sumerians Kush is apparently only a modified of the Neolithic Kush, and thus reflects an unserved connection between the two territories. Also, another key or another message inscription discovered in Ethiopia around 1914 made it reasonably certain that the Ethiopians designed their country, or at least a good part of it, the land of the Qevs, the Kish. It was formerly thought that Kush, with a K or a C, and their derivations were of Egyptian or Hebrew origins, but the discovery of their counterparts in the Ethiopian records seemed to indicate that the words were indigenous to the country and peoples to which they were generally applied. That's why the script and language of the ancient blackheads have been carefully studied and only serve to strengthen the thesis. In academia, it's called a thesis. The system of writing which they brought with them has the closest affinity with that of Egyptian in many cases. Indeed, absolute identity between the two alphabets. The Egyptian formed a rude parallel, we call it a parallelogram for the house. And they called it like the E with a hyphen, while the Hamite Babylon used almost the same form and gave it the same phonetic power in regard to the language of the primitive Babylonians. The vocabulary is undoubtedly Kushite or Ethiopian, of which we have probably the purest modern specimens in the Mara or Southern Arabia and the Gala of Abyssinia. I'm telling you, man, another reference is an essay of the people and language of Africa, Richard Lepinus. He concurs with Rawlings on the origins of the blackheads. The oldest time, one of my nobles said, man, this is the best history ever. I know. That's why I said I go on college campus. I don't have to beg nobody. All I ask for small donations to my people. That's why I ask all my nobles on YouTube and Instagram, please write people's name down, because you don't have to be here. And we don't have to talk stuff to people. It's too much crazy stuff going on in the world. In the oldest times, with the memory of men, we now of only literally development, that of Egypt, right? That's what people say. And we know of only contemporary people which could have had knowledge of this culture, appropriated its results, and conveyed to them other nations. And this was the Cushites, the masters of the Erythraean, that Erythraean Sea, to its furthest limits. It was by them that the Babylonian was colonized and fertilized with Egyptian culture. And it is thus only that the thorough-going correspondence between Babylonians' knowledge and institutions and the Egyptians' ones, what? Intelligible. The pictorial writing, the forms, the basics of the what we call cuneiform characters is unmistakably only a species of the hieroglyphs. The astronomy of Babylonia is only a development of that of Egypt. Its units of measure, that is, the royal architecture, the eel of 0 Fahrenheit per se, and 525 metric architecture, the building, as its pyramids and the obelisks, imperfect imitation of Egyptian origins, as so with other arts. At every step we meet in Babylonia with the trace of Egyptian models. Just like when I talk about, listen, man, I'm gonna drop another nugget on you. Watch this. Watch this. Let me show y'all how when I quote things and people get mad because they don't read nothing more, just buy things. And I forget the phrase that a lot of people buy things and know they don't read because they don't have an aptitude to read. If people were scholars, like they say on Instagram, you will go through academia. There's nothing wrong with being home trained, but you just can't make up and say you this and that and don't understand the prereqs. So it's a I don't even call it an ancient book. I call it a sacred book, but it really ain't sacred. It's just lower level wisdom. It's called Atlantis of Latter Days. Atlantis of Latter Days. And I was lecturing one day and the noble on here like, I got the book. No disrespect if you don't hear. Hey, you said it. People heard you say it. I got the book. I say, okay, so what the science about and how are you applying it? Because wisdom should be applied like applied mathematics. Oh, I ain't ready yet. How long you had the book? 2 years. So what's the purpose? And then I tell you how it ain't nothing but lower level masonry. They talking about you. They're replacing you, replacing all your signs and symbols, rocking you, diluting the science, and you don't even know about it. And in that book, the European, the author, think it's some high science. He said his name is El Elyon, right? Okay, let's do this. Here go the God name Bible. When I be telling people when they try to get you caught up in tricknology, same thing they tried to do to Messiah in the flesh. Well, what's this? What's that? Is it many gods? Ain't nobody said it's many gods. I say the names of God or the attributes of God. It's like the 99 names of Allah, where you see El Rahim, El Malik, and all those are attributes. And they talk about a whole bunch of different gods. So when you talk about the alphabetical lift of the names per se, aka titles, you father, husband, all these things, these are titles. So you got the names of or titles of God. Watch when I get to one part. If you don't want to give a donation to Cash App $KGB in less than 5 minutes, I'm going to block you. Please don't get on here talking shit because other people gave donations. This is a scheduled lecture. Any other time I'm speaking, I don't mind people just jumping on. I haven't even got into the teaching yet. That's why I'm giving got into the teaching yet. That's why I'm giving a preface to warm you up. So if you don't want to give a donation, please don't give don't please jump off. So watch this. Please jump off. So watch this. Consuming fire, Ish Olak, the cornerstone, the dwelling place, the Mon. And I told y'all Moors don't read. Most Negro Freemasons, that's Prince Hall Masons, they don't read. And the European be castrating them and wearing it with tubal cane with balls on them. And then we talk about that ancient Muslim book, right? Atlantis of Latter Days, and the European call itself El Elyon. So let's finish. Everlasting God, eternal God, that's El Olam. Father, Abba. first, last, fortress, Mesuda, friend, gate, God, Elohim, Eloah, God Almighty, El Shaddai. Now listen to this. This is what the European call itself. God Most High, El Elyon. That's in Atlantis. That's in Atlantis of latter days when they try to replace that essence. Like this science don't come from them. No disrespect. This is a higher science, and it must be taught by our brothers and sisters. And no disrespect. When I speak, the European agree with me. They lower level Masons, a 32 or 33 degree Mason, have to bow down to supreme wisdom. It ain't no disrespect. I tell all my brothers and sisters that this 99 degrees, this 33 times 3, the ancient rite of Memphis and Mizraim. I don't hide from nobody. I teach this. I don't deal with no mysticism, no fake crap. And I still haven't got into the teaching yet. I'm still in the preface. So when the European Zachariah Stitchin try to talk about some Anunnaki and some aliens, I tell you it's the Sumerians, it's the Iberians. This is a fact. Even the European that wrote Behold the Pale Horse. I'll show you the picture with him and Zachariah Stitchin in the Masonic Lodge. Sumer consisted of a number of largely independent city-states. Each such entity contained a city with satellite towns and villages. Periodically, however, these city-states were united under powerful, a government, priests, elevated to kings with divine status. Who? From the people, anointed and consecrated, not elected. Anointed and consecrated from the wisdom, just like academia. Everybody want a long tassel and they ain't even graduated out of elementary school. In the Bible, you are Ur in your scriptures, which covered more than 4 square miles, was the nation's capital at the apogee of a united Sumer. The so-called blackheads have finally completed the expulsion of the Guti or the Gaudi, G-U-T-I, a savage collection of hill tribes from the Vagros Mountains who have ravaged the Sumer for decades. Researched all this science. From a series inscription, we learn of Gudas or Gadas conquest and the lack of acknowledgement of a superior. Nah, I'm good. No. Yep. One of my guys said, you ain't even got in the lecture yet and you on fire. Nope. I ain't even got into the teaching yet. Oh, man. But yeah. When you talk about the mighty Elam or Elam, the first high culture of Iran, shares Sumer's eastern border, and historical destinies of these nations were incredibly, they were all wound together. Everybody know I'm telling the truth historically. The country was divided into 2 parts, Anshan and the mountains north, and the Susiana with its capital city of Susa or Kissa in the south. The early Elamites, E-L-A-M-I or Elamites, seem to have titled their land Anzan Sasunak, with the term Elam perhaps being introduced by the early Hebrew writers. And Elam's history can be traced with certainty to about 3000 BC, and thus roughly corresponds with the chronological or the chronologies of Egypt, Sumer, and the Haraphan, the high culture of the Indus Valley, while much of its history, particularly the initial stages, remain vague, due in large measure to the heretofore inability to decipher the Elamitic scripts. You got to be able to interpret these scripts, not just arbitrarily explain them. And see, I ain't even got in the lecture yet, man. And so that's just, like I said, the preface. That's just the little preface, and that's just a little 30-minute synopsis, which is fire. I haven't even gotten the main topic. That's why When I do lectures, you got to have the aptitude to sit there for an hour, which most people don't. But they'll go to a basketball game and be nigger tame. They'll go see Usher on some skates. And then jump on here and say, oh man, I ain't got no money. And I say, I ain't asking you to pay. I said a charitable contribution of your choice to Cash App $KG Bay. If you're here to learn. If not, there's no reason to be here. So hold on one second. Give me 1 second. I'm about to pause on YouTube. I got to check something to see. If not, I'm about to log off. So give me 1 second, everybody on YouTube. Hold on. Let me see something. How I do this. We got guests on here. Nobody want to give a donation to Cash App $KG Bay. So I give honors that was here for the introduction. I give you peace. I give you love. But I was going to illuminate the deeper roots, the history of the Muslims in America, which I did at the college campus when it was packed. I had college students from all over, professors, dignitaries. It was, when I say packed. And so I just don't hold up books. And so I asked Nobles if they wanted me to do the lecture, Cash App $KG Bay. I gave you a little preface, which was my subtopic. But if Morris will be here and listen and they don't want to give a donation, I clearly understand that. But I do have a school. I do have muftis and members, nobles and empresses. We're getting ready to have our 3rd annual Morris Ball. And so, like I say, it don't cost to learn. Like everybody been here for 30 minutes, you know? So I give gratitude for everyone being here, listening. But I understand how some of us are. I gave you a second 30 minutes to at least give $5 to hear the teaching, because the same people show up every time. And sometimes I see why this movement hasn't went anywhere. I see why it happens like this. The first thing people will say is, oh, it ain't no temple in my area. But I'm not only a sheikh, I'm a teacher. I'm a scholar, I'm an educator, I'm a leader. I'm a divine minister in real life. I have real organizations. People will say, yeah, if I came to your temple, I'll give a donation. You at my temple now. And I'm making it so easy because you can sit right at your home, in the confines of your home, and sit and relax and log on if you're serious. And so, like I said, my nobles that's on Instagram, please write all those names down. You know, and we can block everybody that's on here on Morris Haberdasher. That's, you know, because there's nothing wrong with people supporting something that they like, and we do give people time. But I see how we are. We donate or give to a club quick, or give to these stores and buy all these things that don't mean nothing. And then you look at everybody with these titles on Instagram and on YouTube. You got Bay this, you got L this, you got all this stuff. You got this, that, and the other. And I say, well, yes, you are more by birth, but it ain't nothing Moorish about you. And I'm not talking about nobody individual. I'm just saying there's no way we can do this and just show up and sit there and we'll go to a movie and we a club hops. And I'm talking to adults and I'm speaking with love. I still give donations to my elders. I still support so many organizations and give a lot, not only to my nobles and my family, but to anybody that's in need, because I'm a divine minister. So, like I said, what is it? Yeah, we went 40 minutes. We gave an introduction, man. So, like I said, nobles, Saturday, the class is going to be good. I'm going to illuminate the science for y'all in ADAPT class Saturday. So I give everybody peace and love. But like I said, I do try to share this with everybody. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with us asking for a small charitable contribution for the teachings. And I give nobles and things books. So I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, I know it's nothing wrong with it. Why? Because I do this in real life with other nationalities. And I come right on here to our brothers and sisters and try to do things for small donations. So nobody can say I'm charging. I'm asking for a charitable contribution of your choice. The same way you would choose the club hop, the same way you would do anything else, the same way you would tip. And so I ask nobles, if we don't want to abide by rules, why do we show up? That's all I'm asking people. I'm asking adults, because I have muftis. I have a class that I teach members. We have Sunday school and adapt class. We work out 5 days a week. We have business class. And so I come on YouTube and Instagram and I try to teach these lectures and teachings to Moors that may be getting miseducated or misused by people on the internet saying that they can do this or nationalize them or they're some secret squirrels. I teach history and law and teach you about the understanding of being a part of something and having an education or a scholarship basis to your science and to your academia and to your law. Teach the divine first. So, like I said, man, as you see, Noble, if you on Moors Haberdasher on Instagram, you see everybody with the compass and the square and the 7 with the fez. Those are my muftis. And that's why I ask all my members and my nobles, please go on YouTube and Instagram and write these brothers and sisters' names down, because all these people will show up. And I don't charge. We ask for a small charitable contribution. And when we do that, everybody starts saying what they don't have. But I'm on everybody's page looking at their extravagant life per se. And so, are we good, Morris? I'm going to end it. We all good, family? Any questions? Please keep it respectable. If you don't, I'm going to block you for life. Any questions? And no one let me down. This is what I expect. I expect this every time. And because a lot of times it'd be hard for me to get the camera on the crowd when I'm doing lectures at colleges and things, because it's not important for me to record it. But it's just totally different. It's just totally different in academia. And when I lecture at different organizations and at the Chamber of Commerce and at colleges and universities and in the African American department, it's just different. I tell you that in class. We do that Saturday in class, Noble, Malik. We do that in class because I haven't even got into it. When I get into the deeper roots history of the Muslim in America, a lot of more will be answered, and it'll add on to it. So we'll do that. Saturday, Noble, and I'm gonna be breaking down all my notes of that book that I did on the college campus. I did a whole lecture series on this. When I say it was packed with professors, because they try to get you with that fake Arab thing. And I did a whole synopsis of it and just illuminated a lot of it, even a lot of the names, So it was just good to do that. When I broke down so many surahs, just like when I tell us that our surahs say, and the consciousness of Allah, the 10 crucial aspects of Islamic revivals, and one of the keys I always speak on is surrounding yourself with people who remind you of Allah. That's a key. Surround yourself with people who remind you of Allah. Taqwa drives Muslims. The more you have, the stronger you would be. The more you have, the stronger you would be. And do good deeds secretly as you do publicly, and it will increase you in the taqwa, which is your personal gain. That's why I'm telling people I'm gonna be gone in a minute, and not gone in a bad way, but in a beautiful way, because Allah has allowed me to do a lot of things that people don't see. Also, when I tell Moors to observe how you pray and make your prayer alone rather than your prayer in public. That's a little keys. Just to keep us in check. And like I said, I gave these lectures to all different nationalities and everything. It's a connection. When I say this is a universal Islam that I teach, but I understand all facets of science. I have to. And if Islam was related to culture, then we would have, I would say, 100 different religions per se. The Islam is what unites us all. That's why I tell Moors, don't base your deen on your language or your ethnic group. I try to teach this to people and I say, man, you're missing an aspect. You're missing an aspect of science. Surah Ayat 13, 43 and 13. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. You know? So I talk about character and all that, you know, when I talk about Islamic character. And I'm just freestyling. When we talk about wisdom and balance, when I ask Moors and Muslims, you know, what's the dua? When you should make a dua for Allah to grant you hikam or hikmah, which is that understanding of that wisdom. Hikmah means, or hikmah or hikmah means putting things in their proper places. When I talk about wisdom, is an important element of what? Success. And wisdom does not have to do with book knowledge. That's why I be telling people, wisdom does not have to do with book knowledge. That's why I don't care about Moors having a pissing contest. Like, do you know this? This person know this, or this person got a whole bunch of books in their backpack. So that's just material wisdom. I'm talking about 720 worth of wisdom. Wisdom is how you implement your Islam, which I talk about applied mathematics. Wisdom is how you implement your Islam. That's why when I speak clearly, wisdom gives us the right balance. You know, balance. Right? We are a balanced nation. That's in the Surah, Ayat 143. Right? Right? Stability, which keep us afloat. So all that stuff, man. So nobles, I get into, like I said, I get into the teachings of that book in class. But it's the importance on historical clarification for the confusion of our times. I'm gonna clear all that up. Just like Carter G. Woodson, when he talked about so-called Black history. And it wasn't none of that in the books. You know, when we talk about in 1976, so-called Black History Week evolved in February. All this stuff we're gonna talk about and why study history, you know? So and I'm gonna give y'all analogies and parables. And over 1/3 of the Quran are stories of history, divine insight into past human experience. Scholars, academia, not no damn religious, nobody belief system, found that 1/3 of the Quran is history, including stories of the prophets, stories of creation, stories of life. History was given to us in order for us to take gems of wisdom, understand people of past, and obtain wisdom to understand the future. Man, I'm telling you. And studying history shows us universal fixed principles. Laws, fixed principles in the world, principles of science, and the basis of physical sciences. Fixed principles is why humans are able to fly airplanes, make advances in medicine and technology, etc. There are fixed principles in the rise and the fall of nations, what elevated people and what brought them down. This is a very critical for us in understanding our history and learning from it. And surely, nobles, it's a lesson in these stories for the men and women for understanding. We are the great people. We are the great lessons. These lessons are for people of understanding, people who go deeper beyond the surface. We don't just have sight to see, we have insight. You see, nobles, we just don't have sight to see, but you got to have insight, or what I like to say in the spiritual realm, discernment. And it's critical even today, very today. You know? So, like I say, man, I give peace and love to those that want to learn and to those that are intrigued. I invite y'all to come to Adapt class Saturday. I'm going to open the floor for 10 minutes. If no one don't want to donate, Like I said, that'll be okay. I'll shut off. And I have all my mooches. We do it privately on Zoom. And so I got a lot to share with y'all, man. A lot, you know? So with that being said, peace, light, and illumination.